Let's take a look at the position of wide receiver. It's an interesting one. You see Beckham and Landry. Important to note, Higgins is a free agent, so that's why he's not on this list. They were talking about an extension, but between Beckham and Landry, you're tying up close to $30 million in just those two. Beckham coming off an ACL. What do you expect from the Browns with that? From my understanding, from looking at some things, they could end up without a cap hit if they decide to trade or walk away from Beckham. All the money was loaded into the front end of it. So, and I'm in no way suggesting they do that. All I'm pointing out is there's a whole lot of money tied up in two receivers.
Yeah, listen, Dave, I don't think you can bring both those guys back next year. I just don't see why you would spend that kind of money on that position. Now, the problem they have, I think, is that Beckham still brings, when healthy, still brings that one element to the offense that they don't have. Whereas Landry, to me, is a replaceable part. I think he's a guy that works pretty well against zones. Doesn't seem to get a whole lot of separation when there's man coverage. Doesn't have a great speed, trustworthy guy. But I think in some of the guys that Rashard Higgins to me is sort of a similar wide receiver who's probably going to be a lot less money. So I understand people feel that Landry has brought a lot of professionalism, whatever else, the other word you want to use, to that locker room, and that it has been a benefit to this team. But I just don't know how you can bring both those guys back as you start building around, especially when you start investing more money in the quarterback position. It's going to limit your wherewithal financially at other position groups.
Now, the one thing about Landry is a really good blocker, which is going to be important to Kevin Stefanski. Assuming that's correct and there's no cap hit, it would appear that Beckham would be, a guy you potentially even look at trading. That there's probably still some value there because of what he did when he was healthy.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a guy. We all as spectators were disappointed in the first full season he had here. It still ended up being a 1,000-yard year. And I know that's not out of context. That doesn't mean a whole lot, right? But I could see where you'd certainly pursue that if there was interest. Now, how much interest there is after the injuries, I'm sure that's hurt his values to some extent. So that would have to be figured into it. But I just don't know. What did you say was $29 million tied up in two guys?
Yeah, between them, it's 14 and 15-ish.